All right, country 163, Palau. Here we go. Newest subscribers over there, the Final 50 World. See, I'm getting subscribers from all over the world. Hi, this is Hamada and welcome to Final 50, where I travel to the last 50 countries on Earth. And on this journey, we're in the island of Palau, checking out the history, the culture, the nature of this beautiful island. So let's go check out what this country has on offer.
I ran out of adjectives to describe Palau while I was there. Pristine, picturesque, paradise. Oh, and a little pricey too, which we'll talk about in the behind the scenes series for Palau. But ultimately, the country is a true slice of heaven. World-renowned diving spots, the Rock Islands, which are a UNESCO World Heritage site and was featured on the cover of Nat Geo, tons of history, especially from World War II, and of course, the warmth of the people. So despite the distance, I was super excited to visit this archipelago and explore each of its many unique vantage points.
So Palau is a country of only 19,000 to 20,000 people, super small. But what's really cool about this is that this behind me is literally the jailhouse here. And it's really hilarious because it's like in the center of town. Just so funny. You got all the police cars literally chilling right here. And it's pretty much a wrap, I would imagine. There's just not much more to this. Imagine 20,000 people. That's like a city, couple of city blocks in Los Angeles. Absolutely wild.
I began my journey in the main city of Koror, which is close to the country's international airport. Koror has over 60% of the country's 20,000 population. Everything happens on the main streets here. I was definitely impressed with how clean it was relative to other islands I had visited in the Pacific. I think this is due in part to the government's push to minimize their carbon footprint and conserve its nature, embodied by the Palau Pledge, which requires tourists to preserve and protect Palau's environment while visiting the island. Because of its history, there's also a plethora of different types of cuisine, from Japanese to Filipino, Chinese to American, and so much in between. Oddly enough, at least on the main island, I was not able to track down a good local restaurant. But when you visit, you should try the fruit bat soup, or so I was told.
Doesn't get better than this.
So one of the main national pastimes here in Palau is baseball. In fact, they're excellent at it and they've won a lot of competitions. But what's wild is that it was introduced to Palau 100 years ago, not by the Americans, but apparently by the Japanese. How crazy is that?
Palau's history extends back millennia through the Palau culture. I got a taste for this when I visited a Palau and Bai. These community centers were for activities such as wedding ceremonies, funerals, coming-of-age rituals, and so much more. Also, men would gather here to socialize. Now, what's important to know is that Palau is one of the few matrilineal cultures remaining in the world, which shows the difference they have for women in society. Oddly, on the facade of the Bai, you can see a woman in a spread eagle position. I got super curious and I looked it up. Turns out it represents a female figure in folklore, which I will let you Google to figure out the backstory behind that one. I decided to dig deeper into the history of the country and went to the National Museum.
Palau, like a lot of the other countries in the South Pacific, started off obviously undiscovered, untouched.
Like I said, Palauan history is rich in traditions, but has been for the past 300 years occupied by various countries, including the Spanish, the Germans, the Japanese, and most recently the Americans. A lot of this changed with World War II, and you can see the relics of the war all over the islands. Palau finally became an independent nation over 40 years ago and now has one of the highest GDPs per capita in the Pacific. In line with its World War II history, I randomly stumbled on this old Japanese communication center. It was literally abandoned on the side of the road, so as a huge World War II buff, I went in to explore it and see how it must have felt when it was fully operational 85 years ago.
Completely bombed and gutted. You can see the anti-aircraft guns scattered around, and it's like abandoned. Absolutely crazy. You can see.
If you look up the world's smallest capital, you'll discover that it's Negrumed in Palau, with a population of just 300 people. Now, what's wild is that the Capitol buildings, representing the legislative and judicial branches, are likely among the largest I've ever seen and were inspired by the Capitol buildings in Washington, D.C.
So how great is this? Basically, I'm walking around the town and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get around the island? And I was literally thinking about renting a car just when someone who I had kind of been touching base with over the course of the last couple of days, who's a friend of a friend who lives here and kind of has her own tour operating company, Lucy. And she said, hey, listen, if you want, you can rent my car while you're here on the island. And lo and behold, I rented it. And now I feel like the whole island is ours for the taking. I want to be diving, snorkeling, just chilling in the water, but also whenever I get the chance, I definitely want to get out and explore the island and do some hikes and stuff like that.
The main island is full of awesome adventures. It was so lush and felt so safe just driving around the main compact road that was apparently funded by the US, and which loops and connects the different parts of the island, so it's easy to get around. There's so much to do with such little land space, and so I really want to explore more of the interior of the main island. I did this by hiking to one of the waterfalls late in the day and was hoping to catch it before the sun went down.
Holy shit, this place is something like out of Predator. Just look at the thick foliage and vegetation. It's like on sunken mud. But oh my God, is this thing beautiful. Whew, and it's super creepy because it's almost sundown. But I had to do it, I had to see it. Absolutely beautiful.
Trekking down the path in thick foliage at that hour, all on my own, felt so raw and somewhat unnerving for whatever reason, but the waterfall was so worth it. There are also other waterfalls on the island like this one, which also is really worth checking out.
So funny. I'm literally just driving around the island. I've got my map right here and I'm just trying to find cool things to do and things to see. And we're gonna try to see if we can find these crazy statue heads that are meant to be pretty spooky that have been around for over 1,000 years or so. So let's see if we can find them. All right, I found two Palauan kids walking around the area. They're gonna tell me what the statue is all about. Okay, what's the statue about?
It's about person with no arms, no legs.
Why is the face so scary?
It's the face of that person. He was faking that he had no arms and no legs, but when he says,
That's why this thing is so freaky?
yes. People had hunted him down and then killed him.
This thing?
Yes.
All right, let's check it out. All right, man. I can't fact check this. I'm banking on you guys. There it is.
Palau has some of the best diving in the world. There are over 1,400 fish species, and both natural and wreck dives that will blow your mind. In fact, I think you would need several weeks of diving to see it all. Now remember, it's not cheap. Likely, it's probably the most expensive of any other island country in the Pacific. But if you can stomach the bill, then it's super worth it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of diving, only because I really have trouble equalizing. But thankfully, I was able to get my own guide, who was simply awesome and patient. We dived together to avoid rushing the process, and it was magic. I did 2 dives, one in Fairyland and one in the famous Blue Corner, which had one hell of a current, so you could see so much fish coming right at you. But what I really enjoyed was seeing the sharks and the turtles, the barracudas, and all these different sea life that really made it such a spectacular experience. And at the end, as if by pure magic, we bumped into a beautiful pod of dolphins. As we were heading back, we took a quick shortcut out of the reef and landed in this incredibly magical spot. Thankfully, we had a drone to capture it because honestly, words cannot describe how beautiful it was. One thing I really want to do was explore the fabled Rock Islands, especially when I had seen it on the cover of Nat Geo with the words 50 of the world's last great places. Now I was super fortunate to have met Lucy. Remember the person that rented me her car? Well, she also has a tour company called Fly High Palau. Her partner Wills took us out on an unforgettable excursion to the Rock Islands. We first went to the Milky Way, which has this white silt that can be very good for your skin, so I took full advantage of that.
It smells interesting. All right, so we were going to go to Jellyfish Lake, but we can't because the jellyfish have decreased in numbers significantly. This is our captain, Paul. You're saying why is that?
Yeah, they decrease their number because the temperature keeps rising. When the temperature rises, the jellyfish dies or they go away. When the temperature goes down, then the jellyfish will come back.
Right. Yeah. So this is just like ground zero for climate change. And we also heard that there's elevated levels of salt, possibly because of evaporation and so forth. And so whatever it is, it's really affecting the jellyfish. We want to go out there, would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But Paul's saying it's a no-go. So instead we're in the Rose Garden, which is a cool spot to do some snorkeling. So we're going to go check that out and then check out some other amazing places right here in the Rock Islands. How wild is that? Look at the shark. We just went swimming with this bad boy.
We went snorkeling in Clam City, saw all kinds of fish, and even checked out a real wreck from World War II. But what was truly crazy was snorkeling up close and personal with white tip and other types of sharks. Turns out Palau created the first shark sanctuary, so they are everywhere, and it's absolutely a surreal experience. Though the highlight of the day had to be when Wills took us to his clam farm. He showed us how his family for generations would traditionally fish for and eat these clams raw, with just a little lemon and some soy sauce. Definitely a unique culinary experience, and one I will never forget.
On one side.
Very fishy.
A leaf is on the other side and the egg is on this side.
Egg on the top.
You never eat
Soy
something
sauce.
as fresh as this, man, from ocean to table. With beer. Beer in the cooler. It's the beer.
What's your favorite part to eat?
The egg.
Here you go, the natural arch.
Yeah.
Because the rocks fell. And now it's an arch. Woo!
Look, it takes over 20 hours to fly to Palau from California, often with 2 layovers. But when you get there, you know it's all worth it. Topography like I've never seen before, above and below water. Incredible history, food, culture, and of course the people, like Lucy and Wills, who showed me the best of Palauan hospitality. And this is why I can't wait to go back and visit more of this pristine, picturesque paradise.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this journey of the incredible island of Palau and saw how much there is on offer here. If you've been here before, please let me know what you loved most, because I definitely plan to come back to this incredible place. If you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe by clicking above so you can get more from my journeys around the world. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Stay curious always. I look forward to seeing you on my next journey.